Square Enix took a thing I liked and turned it into a gacha mobile game, because of course they did.
But you like gacha. You play Genshin.
There's gacha there.
I like the good gacha.
There is no good gacha, dude. I like good gambling. None of that slot shit. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the HGO podcast. I'm one of your hosts today, Ethan, and joining me, as always, are my good friends, Hunter and Kyle. Hey, guys. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing swell.
You know, there are times when I wish we could show the audience the first minute before we start the actual episode.
The most chaotic energy we've had for one of those in a minute.
know, they don't ever need to see it because
No,
all they
no.
would
do.
all they would see is me waste time for the first 45 seconds, then struggle to get to the final 15. It's like, it's fine. And I can never count properly either. But you guys doing okay? It's been a weird week.
Yeah, I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
I've been kind of tired most of the week, but
I've been off, but it's still dragged. It still feels like it's been a really long week, and I don't know if it's because video games are dead. And by the way, 100% the fault of Saints Row. Saints Row killed video games. We're putting that out there. That's like the new headline. Run with it, Kotaku, like you probably will. But
wasn't Kotaku the one who was like, "Oh, it's not that bad"? There was one of their outlets. There was one of the outlets was like, "Oh, hey, it's not that bad." Blah 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 blah.
Trust me, it is. But you know, no one's talking about it now. But no, it's felt like a really slow week. And it's like, it feels like it's also really dragged. It's like, I've been trying to keep busy. Played AI and the Somnia Files, Hunter. Played it. Beat it.
Oh, did you finish it? Nice.
Yeah, I finished it.
Cool.
It's good.
I like it. Yeah.
It's not going to make it in today's episode, which is, I guess, a compliment.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Hell yeah. Would
It's
have
fine.
made it into the last one.
Yeah, if it had come out like 4 months beforehand, I definitely would have brought it up.
I don't know if I would have, because I feel like the highs in the first one are better, but I think the mystery and the way that the twist happens in the second one, I think is better put together. Like,
it's got
the second one's twist, I went,
advantages.
makes sense, and it doesn't piss me off. Where the first one, I was like, well, I was never going to guess that, and that just makes me sad, because what's the point of, all I'll say is, before they revealed the thing, things were clicking in my head where I was like, that doesn't add up. Why is this person here?
Yeah,
Why
I
are they
know,
not doing
right?
that? And then I was like, oh,
perplexing.
Makes sense. But no,
Then it just comes and smacks the books out of your hand. It kept me up for like a half hour later than I wanted to be the one.
I was just continuing playing the game. Like, I'm not Googling this, explain it. And they did explain it, fortunately. But there was a second where I was like, are they not going to explain anything? Are they just going to try and get me to figure that out? But it's all good. It's all good. Anyway, we're not here to talk about the Somnia Files, Hunter. What are we talking about this week?
This time, disappointing video game sequels. It's been about a month since we did the 3x3 for the good video game sequels. So
3x3? Yeah, it was.
It was a 3x3. It was a 2.5 hour video.
This one's not 2.5 hours. It's the
disappointing
sequel.
We
to
could
the
now,
sequel
and the disappointing sequel to the sequels episode. Bring you a disappointing sequel of our own.
You love to see it. But no. I don't know. We should just get straight into it, really. I've not really got anything to promote. Thank you for supporting the podcast. Thank you for listening on audio. Thank you for watching our video. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, all those other garbage things that we're forced to say, or Susan will send us to the shadow realm and we won't get recommended, apparently. But yeah, thank you for supporting the show. If you can keep supporting it, that'd be great. And as always, if you have any feedback, leave it in the comments or hotgamersonly@gmail.com. Any praise, criticisms, thoughts, concerns, why do we hate Xenoblade 3? Let us all know on the email. That'd be really great. Thank you.
If they're criticisms, send them in on the back of a $20 bill, please and thank you.
Support the show. No.
On the Patreon we don't have.
Yeah, please don't. I don't feel like paying taxes. That's my thing. Is my work sorts my taxes out. If I start getting more income, then I have to sort stuff out myself, and that's too many steps for a $20 bill. So don't send it to Hunter. He can deal with it. Anyway.
Yeah.
So disappointing game sequels. I'm not gonna lie. I found this. Well, you guys already know because I panicked in the hour before we started recording this. I really struggled with this. It's harder than it seems. So I don't know what you guys went with. I basically went with, in the end, I was like, do I go with good games that have bad sequels? I'm gonna go with along the words of games that aren't necessarily bad, sequels that aren't necessarily bad, but disappointed me personally because I don't feel like I can objectify and critique games in that way and just say it's straight out bad because I feel like that's what the internet does and I'm not good at it. So that's what I went with. Did you guys do the same?
Yeah, I kind of went down the same line as you.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I don't think I hate any of these games that I have on here. Spoiler alert, Final Fantasy 15 and Resi 5 aren't here.
Oh, good, we're doing that again. I always love when we talk about bad games and Final Fantasy. It always comes up. It's always there, like a little rash, just always there on the worst games episodes. But it's all good.
No, I skipped over that one.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I complain about specifically Final Fantasy 15 and Resident Evil 5 enough. I don't really need to go on about it.
Fair enough. Let's start with one of them then, Hunter. You've already said one of them, so start with one. Why not? Just go for it.
Would you like me to something that I actually have written down?
Oh yeah. If they're not counted, then go. Yeah. Sorry for a second. I thought that you were counting those, and I was like, oh god.
Oh no, I said I wasn't counting them because I complain about them enough already.
Those are the honorable mentions.
Okay, well start with them anyway. Yeah, start with one anyway. Yeah, sorry. I honestly thought that you were like, we're gonna burn this bridge again, and I was like, oh for fuck's sake, really? We're doing this again?
No.
Like, if I have to listen through another Final Fantasy 15 rant from Hunter, I feel like I'm gonna turn blue and like pass out because it's like I say, we've done that before. It's like how I try to stay away from the ones that I always talk about. So anyway.
All right, so I'll start off with Dragon Age 2. I used to really not like this game, but I kind of softened on it upon a second playthrough after Inquisition came out.
Mm-hmm.
The main issue with this one is kind of, okay, Dragon Age Origins is pretty big as far as like its scope. It's essentially the conflict is these creatures from the ground called the Darkspawn are coming and they kind of infect the land as they sweep across the continent in what is called a blight. And they've got this massive dragon called an archdemon that kind of controls their little hive mind. That's pretty big stakes for you and your buddies that just got their army wiped out at the like opening 3 hours to have to deal with. Dragon Age 2 dials that back into basically being just the trials and tribulations of one city in some kind of coastal city. It's called Kirkwall, and you're dealing with the Hawk as your player character. He ends up like it covers a bunch of years of his life and throughout the time just kind of becoming the champion of Kirkwall or whatever. And the main like struggle there is this conflict between mages and Templars, essentially being Templars wanting to crack down on mages because they're magical and can get all crazy because they're susceptible to being possessed by demons who can come through to the other side or whatever. And mages are being like, oh no, they're persecuting us because it's messed up to just put that on us from the word go. And the problem with this conflict is that my little succinct summary there is about as human as that either side gets portrayed, because both sides act like raging psychopaths the whole time. The Templars eventually are like, oh, we're just going to make all the mages tranquil, which like takes away their magic and also essentially like lobotomizes them. And the mages respond with, oh, we're going to blow up one of your churches. And it just keeps escalating into being progressively dumber. And I don't feel for either side is the problem with most of it. And like, Hawk doesn't really do. Hawks obtains the status of champion, I think, by just living there for a long time. Like, by this game's standards, I will be the champion of America when I hit age 35.
Nice.
That's like, called running for president, Hunter.
No, that's different.
Which you can do at age 35.
That's the anti-champion.
I don't think you can. I feel like you have to be at least 70, right? I feel that's how American politics.
Oh, that's what observation would lead you to believe, but 35 is the earliest.
That's the minimum.
Yeah.
That's what you think. I beg to differ.
Yeah. But yeah, and then like as far as gameplay goes, one of the things that Origins kind of got criticized for was it being sort of like an auto battle thing where, you just click auto attack and wait for your skills to refresh. 2 thought they would remedy that by making you just push X to attack, but that's just as tedious because it's the same like 5-piece. And I played as a rogue, so it was like a 5-piece combo while I waited for my skills to refresh. It didn't do anything special. As far as that goes, it's like I have to mash X instead of pushing it once. And the characters, for the most part, with the exception of Varric, your dwarf novelist friend, he's cool, but the rest of them were not nearly as interesting as the first game's party. And yeah, I think I've covered about all the things that I didn't enjoy about it.
Fair enough. I honestly have nothing to add because I never played Dragon Age, so it's like one of those
Same.
things. Honestly, BioWare is one of those places where I'm starting to get there. I played Mass Effect 1. I was toying with playing Mass Effect 2 this week, but I'm like, that's too big. It's like 30 hours. I can't finish that before Splatoon 2.
It's too big.
Splatoon 2,
Yeah.
Splatoon 3. Jeez.
Yeah.
I can't finish it. Maybe I could, but also, like I say, I'm back to work. I might do it anyway.
Yeah.
Why not? Well, there's no other fucking games coming out, but it's like,
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I'm on the start of that journey, so I'm sure if I wasn't, Andromeda would probably show up on this list somewhere because I know people really were disappointed by Andromeda. So who knows?
Sure were.
But hey, at least
Well, yeah.
at least Inquisition was good.
Yeah, Inquisition was good, and I think that's what led me to, when I played it the second time, I'm like, okay, at least they're not going to stick with this kind of meh direction. They've course corrected, and now I don't dislike 2. It's just not as good as the other 2.
Kind of like Dark Souls 2.
Yeah.
Which they forgot about until Elden Ring. And then
Yeah.
everyone said it was great, and I'm like, what? What?
According to who?
According to people, apparently Elden Ring's great.
Apparently.
When I'm just like, this is Dark Souls 2 again, and Dark Souls 2 from the... to be fair, Dark Souls 2 is probably the Dark Souls game I've seen the most of, because I've watched 2 friends suffer through that game.
Oh, man.
It's like, that's the slow one, and they copied the slow one. Why would they do that? Sekiro's right there. Damn it. Anyway. But no, fair enough. Good pick. Pretty tame pick. I did a quick peek over at the timestamps to see what Kyle's already put in. Kyle's going for a bit more of a hotter take here. Kyle's going for blood.
Nice.
Where are you going, Kyle?
So this next game I don't even really dislike. It's just like a nothing sequel. It's Super Mario Galaxy 2.
It's so soulless.
Like it does what it says on the tin. It's just Galaxy 2, but at the same time, I don't feel like it does enough different. Like if that game came out today, like if Galaxy came out on the Switch, Galaxy 2 would just be like $30 DLC, not a full priced second game. That like Galaxy 2 just doesn't add enough, where I feel like the inclusion of Yoshi and the 2 other power-ups it added, just IMO, it wasn't enough to warrant having a sequel.
Yeah, and like I don't even really like the levels, like comparatively to the other game. I've always just preferred Galaxy more.
But comparatively, they feel a lot shallower, less inspired. And also the green stars are just like big filler.
Yeah,
that's just unnecessary.
Yeah, it's like the inverted gems in Crash 4. It's like, do we need this? No.
Yeah, like no. Also, like you got the fat purple star as your like little
Lubba
guy instead of Rosalina.
Yeah, Lubba sucks.
Yeah, like the observatory and stuff was a cool little thing to go back to every once in a while. Going to
Starship Mario just feels barren.
Yeah, not as interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because it's just more of the same, right? It's more Mario Galaxy, and it's like for some people that's exactly what they wanted and they really like it. For some people, they wanted more than that, and it's like I can see it both ways, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like
my feelings weren't really all that hurt when it was left out of the Switch collection or whatever. I'm like, yeah, I don't like that one.
The limited time
Yeah.
Switch
Yeah.
edition, dude. That's still it's still on shelves
That
to
you
this
could
day.
probably
Yeah.
still buy. Yeah.
Oh, it's still there. It's still there. Hasn't been printed in 18 months, but it's still there. Don't you worry.
Don't you worry.
But no, it's like I say, it's an interesting pick.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't even dislike the game. It's just like, why does it exist?
No, that's fair. I've got a similar one, to be fair. I can roll with that. We can move with that. I also want to apologise to video listeners where you saw Discord voice bars go across everybody's webcams because I was trying to alternate the the volume and I just realised, oh no, it's going over everyone's faces. So sorry, it'll be over. I'm done messing, I swear. But my one again is something where it's a sequel to a video game that's not necessarily bad. It's just I was pretty disappointed with it. Mirror's Edge Catalyst.
Oh yeah.
The 2016 sequel to Mirror's Edge, which if you didn't know, yes, Mirror's Edge got a sequel.
did not know
and
that.
boy, was it disappointing. They basically took the concepts of Mirror's Edge and turned it into an open world game. And that's not necessarily the thing that's bad about it. The problem with Mirror's Edge Catalyst is Mirror's Edge Catalyst doesn't know what it wants to be. It's very much, it's an open world Mirror's Edge game. Okay, we can work with that, you know? If you make a well-crafted open world, I don't see a problem with that whatsoever. But the problem with that was, it was almost to a T following that kind of typical Assassin's Creed almost open world design where things have to be everywhere and there are dead drops to collect and there's towers that you have to sort out. But at the same time,
special.
But at the same time, the missions were extremely linear and they had regular levels where, for example, the last level, I absolutely loved the final level of the game where you're basically climbing the shard, like the biggest skyscraper in the city, and you're climbing it and they give you like a grapple hook kind of thing, so you're like grappling and everything. It's really fun because it's a linear level and it works really well. But at times when you're just going in the open world and it's just forced combat, it just doesn't work. I also think what doesn't work is it's not a sequel, it's a reboot to a game that had a single game that didn't need a reboot. It's basically just telling the same story as one again, but not as well and padded as anything.
Syndrome.
Yeah, it's Star Fox
no.
Syndrome. And like I say, the gameplay itself is solid. The world design isn't terrible. It's a sequel that just doesn't know what it wants to be, and it was following 2016 trends when I feel like if they were to go back and do a Mirror's Edge now, they'd probably do what everybody's doing now, which is the trend nowadays, which is go back to your roots, which is what everyone, like, you know, I feel like Doom almost like kind of started a kind of, let's go back to basics. What is Doom? This is Doom. And everyone saw how well Doom did and went, let's do that with all our franchises. Now everyone's going, this is what we should be. And I feel like Mirror's Edge was just a year behind that kind of trend, where if they just waited 2 more years to make a Mirror's Edge game, they would have just made another Mirror's Edge and it would have been great. But alas, we got this open world kind of thing. And it sold terribly. And I don't think we'll see Mirror's Edge ever again. It's a real shame.
The funny thing that I always remember about this is that people were asking for a Mirror's Edge, and then when it finally happened, no one bought it. And so a bunch of people who would talk about video games like, where were all of you? Herbadobada.
But at the same time, it's like EA didn't know their audience.
That's true.
They made an open world game.
Surprise.
They made an open world game. Who knows? And people are always like, EA didn't make single player games. And I'm like, before Jedi Fallen Order, I'm like, they did. They made Catalyst and it didn't go well, so I don't blame them for not doing it for a while. But
yeah.
Oh well. We can always dream that we may get a Mirror's Edge game in the future. I feel like if we ever do, I think they're just going to do a remake of the first one again, and we're just going to get Star Fox Syndrome, where we never get another Mirror's Edge. We're just going to get Mirror's Edge again and again
Mirror's
and again.
Edge again.
Yeah. Be a great game to see, though. And also, it's on backwards compatibility with Xbox, and it runs at 4K 60. So it's great on there, at least. You've got what you want there. It's really fun. I played it earlier this year. Mirror's Edge still holds up. Catalyst? Nah. Could have been so much more. Alas. Anyway, Hunter, where are we off to?
All right, so this game kind of suffers from a similar sort of identity crisis, in my opinion. The Evil Within 2. It's
Ooh,
funny. People
interesting.
people seem to like this one more than the first game for
Yeah.
the most part. I didn't, though. It has a
Ooh.
couple of problems. First of all, they'd make the levels more open-ended in general, which I feel is counterintuitive design for the claustrophobic horror game.
Mhm.
Because like all of the encounters that happen in these open-ended levels, I can basically just kind of dip out of by walking backwards 5 steps most of the time. Like there's nothing dynamic about the fact that you're in a kind of hub thing.
Mhm.
So it didn't need to be like that. And it also suffers the problem where they have this really cool bad guy for the first half and they kill him off halfway through.
Yeah.
It does the Far Cry Voss thing where they kill off the coolest person and then replaces him with 2 people who are less interesting.
Isn't that what
And
Far Cry 3 also did? I thought
I
Far
don't
Cry
know.
3
I
had
thought it
2
was only
people.
one guy.
Oh,
I
I
can't remember.
I thought it was because it was another guy, and then it was like this girl as well. I thought it was 2. I don't know. I've never played
Mm,
Far Cry 3, to be honest. Actually, no, that's a lie. I played the first 2 hours, like I played the first 2 hours of Far Cry 4 as well.
yeah,
And then I played the
but
first 2 hours of Far Cry 5, and then went,
it
I can't keep doing this. I'm forcing myself to finish this one because third time, shame on me. So I
yeah,
finished it. Why
but
Far Cry
yeah.
should be on this list?
So
It still could be.
I only played 3, and now that you're talking about it, I may have never finished it. It could have been one of those things where I just stopped after Vass died or shortly there because it
That is the
quit
real
being
ending. That's
interesting.
the real ending.
Yeah,
Far Cry
but
games aren't meant to be
yeah,
finished.
that's true. But The Evil Within, yeah, the second game, it kills off the most interesting guy. He every time he showed up or every time he had something to do with the story, there were these really cool linear horror level experiences to go along with it, and it was really cool. He was like this twisted photographer man, and it was a really neat kind of gimmick. And he had this camera with legs that would most assuredly freak both of you out. um,
How dare
it
you?
was, but they
How
killed him off,
realistic are
and
the legs?
it
They're like
depends.
people legs.
Most
Or just like
monster legs that
tripod
look
legs.
like people. They look like people legs at the bottom, but they're like gross monster legs that attach to it.
Nice.
Yeah, I'd probably hate it.
Yeah,
Carry
yeah.
on.
I'll send you a GIF when we're done recording.
Ooh,
But
yeah, that's a moving
yeah,
picture.
but yeah, after they kill that guy off, they introduce this uninteresting cult leader man, and then another person that uh, going into details on that would be even more spoilery than telling you that the other guy dies. So I'm just gonna skip over that. But it becomes like the cult leader guy was so uninteresting that his boss fights towards the end was just he throws the notable monsters from the first game at you. It's like a greatest hits of the first game,
I
and
love when
honestly,
they do that.
that was the best thing in the second half. Is the problem?
Oh god.
I'm like,
That's
oh
not
yeah,
good.
this is
Don't-
actually making me feel something because these were all the monster designs like the in that game were interesting as far as that's concerned. That's another thing about this one. Now that I think about it, that is a bit not. They throw like 3 different variants in slightly different ways of like the girl from The Ring, where they're all big and like threatening in some kind of way, but one's like ghostly. One has a chainsaw on her arm, and her other arm like spawns more arms branching off of it.
Mhm.
And there was a third one that I can't quite recall, but that's all still close enough to being very samey that it was not super interesting. And I feel like they just kind of lost what was cool about the first one in the
No,
shuffle
fair
of
enough.
what they were trying to make it bigger, I guess.
No, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Kyle,
All right, I've got a question for y'all,
I love
and
questions.
that is, why do the new Super Mario Bros. Games exist? And why are they all the same?
I understand the first one existing.
I'll give
You
you
know,
DS. That was a cool reboot to classic 2D Mario. I'll give you New Super Mario Bros. Wii. It was the
Mhm.
DS one, but with 4-player co-op.
Yeah.
Why does New Super Mario Bros. 2 on the 3DS, New Super Mario Bros. U, New Super Luigi U, why do those exist? Why?
Right.
Why? That's a whole hand of New Super Mario Bros. That's so much soup.
I don't understand 2. 2 is the one I don't understand. Because I understand, in my head, I'm like, okay, DS makes sense. Wii
Yes.
makes sense. Then to
Yes.
go for Wii U makes sense. It was really popular on the Wii. If you want people to buy your new console, makes sense. 2 doesn't make sense to me because 1, it came out the same year as U. They were 6 months apart. They literally were the same year, if I remember correctly. They are the
Right.
same year.
I forgot.
And 2, it wasn't a launch game for the 3DS. The 3DS had already been out for a year, so it was like, what was the fucking point? Like, genuinely, what was the point of 2? Because 2's gimmick was collect the coins. That was the gimmick. At least with Wii U, you know, you had
Yeah.
fucking
Mario
fat
game.
Yoshi balloons. And you had the player. You basically had the troll player where you just like.
Yeah.
2 to me just doesn't make sense as a video game. Both from a marketing level of we want people to buy our new console. Let's release the exact same game on the handheld that they may already own, like a couple of months before release.
Yeah.
And then
it's
as for
weird.
Luigi U, I don't know. You're Luigi DLC. Who knows?
Correct me if I'm wrong here. Isn't Luigi U just the Wii U game, but with Luigi?
No, it's different levels. They are new
Oh,
levels.
it's different levels?
They're new
Yeah.
I thought it was the
levels,
same game.
and the timer's at 100 seconds, so you only have 100 seconds to beat each of the levels. It is a different game, technically.
Oh, okay.
Stretching the term, but yeah, the levels are different. But it's still the same thing. It's still DLC. It's you know,
Yeah,
it's
it's
mirror
like-
mode.
Yeah.
It's essentially a mirror
They
mode.
feel like
equivalent.
the problem with these games to me is that they all kind of feel like DLC to each other, just
Right.
in the way that it feels like nothing substantial changes in a whole lot of it. It's like,
Yeah, that's about how I felt about them, where it just kind of feels like every game they put in some kind of new gimmick.
like at least
Like
you know,
Pokemon.
yeah, like at least with the original 3 2D Mario games, or I guess we'll skip over the Doki Doki Panic one or included. I don't care. With up until Mario World, essentially, at least those had a different look and feel about all of the way that they were designed.
In America.
So oh really?
Well, I mean, you have 1 and 2. 2 in Japan is Mario, just more Mario 1, isn't it? Because that's the lost level.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
like 1,
Definitely.
3, World, all of those, you
Yeah.
can look at them and know that they're a different game, and I would struggle to actually pinpoint which New Super Mario game is the specific version.
Exactly.
Yeah, the fact that it's like the classic Mario games, you can tell by art style. The new Super games, you can tell by resolution, where you're just like, okay, that's the blurriest. It must be DS. Okay,
Yeah.
that one has 4 people, but not in HD. That's Wii, and it's like that's how you work it out. And it's like,
Yeah.
fair play to Nintendo. They also realized they just kept making the same game. So when it came to doing one for Switch, they just ported the last one. So fair play to them. They realized they were making the same game. They were like, fuck it. Why waste development time to stick it on a shelf like they have been doing with all their games recently? Just fucking do the same one again. Why not?
Yeah.
Oh well. But yeah, I agree. They're dumb. They're dumb sequels. Then there's no point to them existing other than to be on a console.
Exactly. Just like console filler.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Speaking of filler,
Oh no.
dude, I feel like we shit on Kingdom Hearts a lot on this podcast.
Oh lord.
And I feel
Yeah.
like in the world of filler, nothing's shitter than Kingdom Hearts, right? I feel like
Truth.
Kingdom Hearts is like this big, massive trash bag that Nomura has in the Square Enix office. And every time Square Enix is like, yo, we've only got 3 Farmville simulators and 2 HD 2D games coming out this year. And Nomura's like, hold your beer, dude. Let me just get in the rubble. Oh, look, it's a Melody of Memory. Have that, fucking chuck them at it. There you go. Play with your toy. Yeah. I'm not choosing Melody of Memory. There are so many good picks to this. There's the DS games. I haven't played the DS games. I personally went for the one that I think is the biggest piss take, in my opinion, which is Kingdom Hearts 3D Dream Drop Distance as being the most pointless fucking video game to ever exist. It's like you could excuse the other ones, right? Birth by Sleep. I don't like Birth by Sleep, but it added to the universe. It gave us Xehanort. It gave us Aquaterra and Ven, who became somewhat important to the storyline. It has a reason to exist. Chain of Memories has a reason to exist because it explores a lot of what Riku had to deal with and how Riku basically came back ready to set up 2. Understand that one. 358. Yes, not the greatest game, but also, again, it delves into that Organization 13 stuff. And again, Roxas was probably a character that is relatively, okay, fair enough. I understand, going back and wanting to explore those a bit. Understand that. Fair enough. Dream Drop Distance is just a massive fuck you. Not this. Who fucking cares for 20 hours? It literally is. It is literally the bargain bin of Disney worlds. They literally went to Disney and said, "What are the shittest worlds we can have because we're not doing Kingdom Hearts 3 yet?" And they went, "I don't fucking know. Here's 3 princesses in Toontown," and they're like, "Thank you. Let's go."
What about live action Tron?
Yeah,
with Kurt Russell.
How about live action Tron, dude?
Dream Drop Distance. But I do know how dirty they did Frollo in that.
They sure did.
And it makes me so angry just knowing about it.
To be fair, I just want to make, before Kingdom Hearts fans ever go at me, yes, I did actually just mistake Birth by Sleep's worlds because I mentioned 3 princess worlds. That is Birth by Sleep. I apologize. Please don't fucking have my head. Anyway, but no, Dream Drop Distance worlds are literally bargain bin shite, dude. You have the creepy ass Tron. You have fucking the Hunchback of Notre Dame, which they butcher and is a fucking horrendous world. Like absolute garbage.
They go back fair from Pinocchio.
Yeah, they go back to Pinocchio in a shitter way, and it's like
such a shitter way. Dude.
One of you gets the carnival, one of you goes back into Monstro. Well, Monstro's back, but then there's a second one that's also shit.
Right, because you have to play as both of them.
Yeah, you have to play as both of them twice.
There's the stupid play this one.
There's the stupid drop mechanic where after fucking 10 minutes the game's like, go play the other one, fuckhead. So you just
fun time's over. Unless you've got drop me knots in your inventory.
So you either play it like I did, where you just spam drop me knots and just go, okay, do everything as Riku, then everything as Sora. Or you can play it what is quote unquote the intentional way, which is hopping back and forth and going, where the fuck am I? I
think I would just play as everything as Riku and then skip Sora's part.
And you can't. You have to do both parts.
Don't do that.
Yeah, you have to do both parts of every world to continue.
Yeah.
And also the worlds are locked off, so you have to do there's 3 and then there's 2 and then there's 3 again. So it's like you have to do all 3 all that way. So you can't even do all the worlds as Sora, then all the worlds as Riku as a second backtrack. You have to do the first world both as one, then you get enough points to unlock the second. And they give you the option of choice, but they're all got a certain level, so you're supposed to do them in this fucking order. And it's like, oh, what a dog shit video game. Honestly, Dream Drop, fucking ass. Honestly.
Also, on the combat end of Dream Drop, it's some of the limpest combat I've played in Kingdom Hearts, where to the point that it's just not fun to swing the Keyblade, and your best option is just the balloon magic.
Oh, balloon's broken.
Because it's goddamn overpowered.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, not using balloon doesn't make the game more interesting or deep. It just means you're using the next overpowered thing on the list.
I also want
which is not Keyblade attack.
Who's the fucking
Keyblade?
Who's the fucking dumbass at Square Enix who was like, yes, we are making a game for the Nintendo 3DS. It does not have a second analog stick. Has anyone got any good ideas of what the mechanic can be, the gameplay mechanic? Yes, how about something called flow motion, where you fucking fly all over the fucking place, and it goes all over the place, and you're gonna need good camera control. Brilliant idea, let's implement that. Who's the fucking dumbass, dude? Literally,
probably
I can't
Nomura.
imagine playing that game on 3DS, because...
Oh, it was miserable.
Flow motion, you're fucking all over the shop, dude. It's so dumb, honestly. So
I will say, flow motion was a cool inclusion, but boy, it was not well done.
But for a console that doesn't have a second analog stick, what the fuck is that? Like, honestly, it's such a stupid idea, bro. Like, it's a dumbass game, bro. I'm usually positive on Kingdom Hearts, but Dream Drop, nah, absolute shite show.
Dream drop it in the trash.
Yeah, basically.
Please.
Remember, guys, eShop's closing. Don't buy Dream Drop. Anyway, moving on.
Still on
spend it on
PS4
something else.
though.
It's a better
Don't
way
buy
to
it
play
there
it, to be
either.
honest.
Actually, yeah, don't buy it anywhere.
Oh, yeah, because that comes on its own. That's even worse. More egregious. You have to buy 2.8 to play it. I forgot about that. I thought they all come as one. They do now, because you can get, like, the Kingdom Hearts bundle, what I have, like, the all-in-one package or whatever. Man.
Yeah.
What a stupid sequel. Fuck you, Nomura. Where's Kingdom Hearts 4?
It is weird, too, because, like, I skipped that one completely. Like, I knew nothing about it. And I feel like I didn't miss anything at all.
You didn't. They tell you what happened at the start of 3 anyway. They're just
right. Yeah, like,
sorry, you fucked up your
That's
exam.
the one where they bring back
Riku is
Axel, and I think
Keyblade.
that's... And I was like, I already knew about that somehow anyway, so I'm like, I don't even need to play this
Yeah,
one.
and then they just did Kairi and Axel dirty in 3 anyway, so, you know, it doesn't matter anyway. They just sit in their little make-believe world playing hopscotch until Yen said's like, it's time, you completed your training, you sat around eating ice cream for 20 years, off you go.
Yeah. And it also gave us young Xehanort, who's just like the biggest prick in the entire Kingdom Hearts franchise.
It also gave us, it gave us the 5 Xehanorts and it also brought back, Xemnas and fucking... Ansem, that's his name. I remember.
I really hate Xehanort as a bad guy. He's so lame compared to the first
It's gonna
two.
suck when they make Ray Chase super lame, isn't it, in Kingdom Hearts 4, when the Master of Masters reveals himself and he's gonna be an absolute lame-o, and you're just gonna be like, oh, cringe.
Imagine if he's just another tan, bald guy with a goatee.
It's gonna be something worse, dude. It's gonna be something worse. He's gonna be like an edgelord or something, like, you know it.
Oh.
It's gonna be Noctis, dude. It's gonna be like Noctis. Like, that's
it's gonna just be Zoro's brother.
Yeah.
Bro Zoro.
Bro Zoro. Anyway, I've shat on Kingdom Hearts enough. On to what's next.
I think next I'll go with Assassin's Creed 3.
I had this on my list. What a riot. I had 2 actually. I had the fun died in Assassin's Creed 3 and the reboot failed in Origins. That's what I wrote. So it was like 2 disappointments, but let's talk about 3.
All right, so I have 3 specifically because it's kind of like where the off switch of the series was for me. It's where I
That's the off switch of the series. Like,
yeah, that's where
you have a good trilogy before that: Assassin's Creed 2, 2, 2, and 2, 3, and then
that's where I quit caring about what they were doing. It's where it just became white noise afterwards. I know people liked 4, but that's besides the point. Yeah, and I believe you. It's just I never.
Unity would have been great. Unity also would have been great if it wasn't as buggy as it was. Syndicate's also good. Assassin's Creed never got terrible. It was always
I believe that it was never
much.
bad. It just got overexposed.
Yeah,
and that's the thing here is like on paper the series of games that I had been enjoying up to this point, deciding that it wanted to do a American Revolution setting, that should have been something I really liked because I like historical settings. I'm a nerd that way. I should have really enjoyed Assassin's Creed 3, but it was very shoulder shruggy to me. The protagonist was kind of lame, and I feel like there was... Yeah,
Connor is like the worst Assassin's Creed protagonist. I'm sorry, Assassin's Creed.
Especially coming off of Ezio, of all people. Like,
you went from your best to your worst. Yeah, it was just kind of unfortunate.
And yeah, it just didn't do anything for me. There was a lot of running around in the woods, which seemed counterintuitive to the whole assassinating people.
You see, that's the thing. That's the thing to me is it's the fact that we went to American Revolution as like the 3rd in this franchise. Like, I'd expect American Revolution to be showing up now. You know what I mean? It's like there were so many periods of time. We had only had the Crusades and the Italian Renaissance. Yeah. That's all we had. Think of all the timelines, all the periods to go to. You can just think, we still haven't done Japan yet. They did fucking... they did the American Revolution 3rd. There were so many, even the ones that they had done, you can just, like, in my head, I'm like, what makes more sense, you know, the American Revolution or ancient Greece or, you know, like the fucking
I think they realized that
Paris
they goofed
during
it
like
up
the
too
Revolution.
because
Yeah. And it's like there's so many.
they started going backwards with 4 that took place beforehand, and I was like, I'm pretty sure they knew that.
Literally takes place 50 years beforehand, and they realized, oh shit, 50 years before the revolution, before the American Revolution, it's actually a better time period because there's pirates, and it's like,
Yeah,
oh yeah,
there's
that's a lot more
pirates.
fun.
The main crux of it would be like sailing to port cities where you still have buildings to climb and people to kill.
The problem with America is, and I'm sorry, America, to
Oh,
break it
too
to
many
you,
to count.
you don't
Out of
have
context.
you don't have enough history, and that's especially so in terms of Assassin's Creed, which is a game about climbing buildings and assassinating people. It's like blending in. It's like those, and they tried their darndest. It's like you've got to give them respect. The idea of having a Native American person as your protagonist and them having to deal and having this kind of third party who is having to watch the Americans and the English fight and be like, hang on, my people are losing regardless of this. How can I take a stand for my people? Is a really good idea to have that central crux in this video game. The problem was everything around that just didn't work. And it's like,
for sure.
there's a twist at the start of Assassin's Creed 3, which is a great little twist where you're playing as Connor's father, Kyle, who is called Haytham Kenway. And the twist is you're playing it and he's got the hidden blade and you're just playing it. And then the twist is because this is the whole of the first sequence, the twist is he's a Templar, he's not an assassin. He's a traitor. So you're playing that whole thing, and then you realize, oh shit, I've just been playing as a Templar for the first fucking 3 hours of this game, which for a series that had very much had been, oh no, Templars are just generic evil, and there's never going to be anything from them. To have them start with that and have a character that was actually interesting, and then to then go, yeah, he's a Templar, now play as his son, and then just have this whole family dynamic be this whole thing in the Civil War, and it's just like, it just gets so messy where I'm like, God, could have been so much more. Could have been so much more.
Yeah. I feel like probably if they would have waited, if they would have just waited to do it for a couple of iterations, that probably would have turned out better as its own thing. I don't know if that would have stopped me from getting tired of the series, but
Assassin's Creed 3 is such an interesting game because it is like it's one of the odd ones of the franchise where it's just like it's not necessarily a bad video game. It's just
I'm
nothing
not saying that it
works.
wasn't good. It's just the one where I quit caring, and I think
You were always going to
people...
have problems after leaving Ezio.
Yeah.
You were Ezio kind of became the brand, which is never a good thing when your whole
when
gimmick
you're
is you
supposed to
skipping
be like an
periods.
anthology, yeah.
And I don't think they've ever hit the same way again. I don't think any of these characters that they have brought in since could even be an Ezio. I don't think any of these characters could last more than one game.
Yeah.
And it's a shame, but also I feel like there are a lot more interesting places and the fact that they were like, okay, we did Crusades, we did Italian Renaissance. To end the story of Desmond, we kind of do need to go further into the future so that like they're going from the furthest point to the most recent. But I feel like there were better places you could have put. Like say,
yeah, definitely.
I feel like they were saving Paris for Next Generation, which makes sense because obviously Paris is pretty big. I feel like Unity probably would have been a better place to wrap that story up personally. Reworking it a bit, but
if their whole thing was even skipping forward to like the most recent ancestor or whatever,
or could have just done Edward Kenway and Pirates instead.
They could have done
game was
that,
cross-gen.
or like you could have, I don't know, skipped to the Civil War, where at least America was kind of established at that point, and there was still a conflict.
Yeah,
there would have been more things to do. I think
it's weird. Like I say, they had games around that time era anyway. It's like we've already had games that were even more modern than that. You know, we had the Industrial Revolution in the UK, so it's like we've had time periods that are even further, but which I still think worked better because London's an established city, so it works.
Yeah,
but having a bunch of colonies that are just a couple
London
of houses and some trees, it was fine. Always will be a disappointment. As for Origins, I just don't like the new Assassin's Creed gameplay. It's fine, but I just not a fan. Which
Yeah,
means
the
this new Assassin's Creed, which is apparently going back to basics, you've said that, more interested. Is it going to be 100 hours? That'll turn me off again. But if you're telling me that it's just going to be stabby climby fun time, I'm back in, Ubisoft. Just giving you an FYI.
stabby climby fun time.
Stick it on the box. Anyway,
Could that be the subtitle?
yeah. No, it's called Mirage or something cringe. Like, yeah,
Oh yeah, Mirage.
Lame.
I like how they're like
Anyways,
it's like taking a character from Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I'm like, I'm just gonna skip Valhalla. Fine by me. 100-hour Viking RPG, not about it. Anyway, sorry,
Nah.
Kyle. Where are we going?
All right. How do you guys feel about Pokemon?
That's interesting.
Specifically
I
the
also
7th generation.
Brobdingnagian indifference.
God, I'm so glad that you guys are on the same wavelength because I
Yeah.
also put Pokemon Sun and Moon.
I put Ultra Sun and Moon.
Well, I put
Same
Sun and Moon.
difference.
Period.
It's the same video
game.
game though, so who gives a shit?
I also right. I put Pokemon Sun and Moon, and then I put a sequel. Like this is like kind of cheating. Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl as sequels to Diamond and Pearl are absolutely awful. And what I mean by that is all the remakes up until that point felt almost like reintroductions of those
Worthwhile.
games, where it was like Gen 1 game in the Gen 3 engine with the Gen 3 thing. So it kind of felt like a successor to those games as much as it did as a retread. Whereas
Mhm.
Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl are just fucking terrible video games. But anyway, let's shit on
True.
Sun and Moon. We don't do that enough on the podcast.
We don't.
No. Sure pick. You go for it.
Yeah.
Here's the stick.
So-
Get beaten.
I think the biggest thing I didn't like about Ultra Sun and Moon is that a lot like Super Mario Galaxy 2, this is just DLC that they charged full price for and slapped a fucking verb in front of it and called it a day. They've legitimately just released the same game again.
Isn't
Yeah.
a verb.
Yeah, it's not. It's an
What?
Ultra. That's
it's
an adjective.
Yeah, it's an adjective. God,
Yeah.
and he has to go at me. He has to go at me, bro. He has to go at me.
At least I know where apostrophes go in words.
Hey,
And don't go to Sam for grammar advice.
that was the mistake. Was going to Sam, who's equally as fucking dyslexic as me, it seems. So it's like, this makes sense, right? Yeah, cool. Thank you. Appreciate it. Anyway, carry on.
No, like this. I don't know if it was just like when it came out, but
Yeah.
Ultra Sun and Moon just felt super lifeless.
Sun and Moon
just
just
didn't-
felt lifeless, dude.
It just
like-
didn't feel like the same fun I had with X and Y was there.
Dude,
the
yeah,
fun
I'm just
I
gonna
was
turn.
having
Yeah, I just want to say that if I was going to a Pokemon generation, this would be it, regardless of Ultra Sun and Moon. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
Sun and Moon are like they're my least favorite Pokemon games. They were the first Pokemon generation, Ultra Sun and Moon in particular. But I went back and finished Sun and Moon because Ultra Sun and Moon were coming out, and I thought that I'd need to, because in a similar way of Black and White 2 being a sequel, right? It was like
Yeah.
Sun and Moon were the first Pokemon games, which until the sequel is announced, I didn't finish that generation of Pokemon. That was the first one. Even Black and White, I didn't play Black 2 or White 2, but I finished Black and White. I put 100 hours into Black and White 1. Sun and Moon are just fucking horrendous. Like, they are so slow. They are so boring. They don't run on the Switch at all. The 3D mode doesn't even work because the games run that ass. Like, they couldn't even get it to work in 2D, never mind in 3D on the Nintendo 3DS. They're not good. And again, it's like they had ideas, like the whole trial thing instead of the gyms, interesting, but in my opinion,
the same.
didn't really work. Same thing.
Legit, just with a new coat of paint.
If anything, I liked the
Z moves
reformat
are a
that they did
stupid
with
gimmick.
Gen 8 more. Z moves are the worst gimmick out of all of them, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They hit gold.
I
They
think
hit
the
gold.
regional thing was the regional variant thing that they
This
introduced
was where
was
regional
cool.
variants started.
As someone who just kind of looks at this series and doesn't play it, I do think, oh, that's kind of neat.
I
every
will give
time I
it that.
see
That was
those.
a good idea, and I've enjoyed seeing what they've done with regional variant ideas after this game.
You see, my thing with regionals is I liked it in Alola because it made sense. Because, the whole kind of Darwinian evolution and it being like, oh, they like stuff around the equator and it was like where we kind of came up with that kind of like evolution and stuff like that. So it's like, oh, that makes sense. It's when they go, okay, but the Pokemon in England, guys, they're so different from the ones in France. And I'm like, hold on.
Our Meowths look like
me?
gremlins.
Yeah. Our Meowths look different than the ones in France. I'm like, okay, that's not Sun and Moon's fault, but I feel like regional forms now are taking the piss, where I'm like, why has Spain got regional variants, dude?
Why Spain make Wooper
Spain,
brown?
France, and the UK are literally next door neighbors at this point.
Poison type.
Yeah.
If anything, I liked it more in Legends Arceus, where they were like, hey, some Pokemon haven't evolved properly yet, so they're a bit different. That's a cooler idea. Have them set in the past and the future. Do something interesting. But no, Gen 7 to me is just like, the legendaries are fucking ass. It's like...
all 9 million that they introduced.
9 million Ultra Beasts and like Tapu Koko and Tapu Lele and Tapu PP and Tapu Poo Poo, whatever they're called. I don't remember.
You did it.
Aku,
you had the first two. The other two were Bulu and Beanie.
There you go.
The ancients would never allow it.
Nothing about Sun and Moon to me is like worth playing, to be honest. It's like, it's the generation that you can skip. Can't wait for the remake.
This is the one I'm never going back to.
This is the one where the remake...
only for the first island that just holds your hand for 9 hours.
Plus the fact that it's 4
I'm only
islands,
kind
they're
of
all
exaggerating.
Circles. They're all circles. There's no exploration. It's just go around in a circle. And it's always clockwise too. Don't think I didn't notice fucking Pokemon. Literally all of them are fucking go around the same fucking way. Hey.
In a very amusing way. For some reason, that all that managed to do was spark to mind Danganronpa 2. Because of the islands that you're just running around.
Yeah, true. It is like that. Not on my list. Could have been, but it wasn't.
Yeah, it could have been, I guess.
I don't hate it that much. I don't think it's that bad.
Yeah,
I think it's fine. I don't think it does
bad.
nothing that the first or
compared
third
to the other two, it's the obvious weak link to me.
Some people would be having 3 on here and be screaming at the hills, but
Nah.
What can I say? You're just scared of the better game. Unlucky Danganronpa fan. Do you know what? Where can I go from here? Because you guys have took a couple of mine. You horrible human beings. No, I'll just go with a quick one, right? Yoshi's Crafted World is just Yoshi's Woolly World, but fucking worse in every way. It's like less personality, less creativity, and like less fun. The gameplay is way worse as well. And it's just like, how'd you do that? Like, how? You had a win.
I don't understand, because Yoshi's Woolly World was like solid.
It was.
Honestly, like they should have just ported it and called it a day, because Crafted World wasn't as good.
They should have. Or they should have just done a sequel. They should have just done a straight up Woolly World 2.
They should have just been Woolly World 2. I would have been down for that too.
It's like I respect it for what it tried to do. But at the same time, it just didn't work as well. Also, the soundtrack's awful.
Yeah.
That fucking kazoo or whatever the fuck it is in that main theme. Oh my god. It was God.
It's the one level that's like a pursuit level where this weird clown thing chases you. Is that in this game?
No, I don't remember. I didn't get that far. I got like 5 hours in and I was like, I've had enough of this fucking kazoo. Shut up. Like,
I never actually bought Yoshi's Crafted World. I just kind of saw enough of it to be like,
I did. I was like, I liked Woolly World. What could possibly be wrong with Crafted World? A lot. It's just like, I like to think the same person had the epiphany in Monolith who was like, it'd be a great instrument to base our score on? Fucking flutes. And everyone was like, yes! And then they did like an epic score with flutes. The same person from Yoshi was like, it'd be a great instrument to base our soundtrack off of? The kazoo. And then someone was like, yes! And then he was like, let's get a kazoo player. Nah, fuck it. Dave knows from accounting. He'll fucking do it.
Yoshi and Kazooie.
And it's like, oh my god, please stop. The fact that I remember like next to nothing about Crafted World, but that kazoo is still ingrained into my mind for 4 years.
And just wakes up in a cold sweat some nights going,
Genuinely, I don't remember
Local man
character.
traumatized by kazoos.
I don't remember character names from most video games that I've only just played. Like, if you asked me what the fucking characters from AI, The Somnium Files, Nirvana Initiative were called, I'd be like, no clue. If you're like, can you recite the fucking kazoo part from Yoshi's Crafted World that you played for 5 hours 4 years ago? I'm like, yeah, of course I can. That takes up space where other things don't. Sorry, Gen, or whoever else was in that game.
Ken is one of
Leon,
them. Good
that
job.
was it. Leon was one of them.
Leon's another one.
It's only
Good
been a
job.
day. It's only been a day. I should know him. Amame, Mizuki.
Amame. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. I don't remember what Squarehead was called. I don't remember. Shoma was his son.
Oh, Komeiji.
Komeiji. And Des
Yeah.
Komeiji. Yeah, that was it. Dude. That was
Yeah.
it.
I liked him. He was great.
He was cool. He had a Minecraft head, but other than that, he was pretty cool.
I was expecting him to be so much like sussier than he was because of that design. I'm like, this is like some just off of the concept. They showed like the cover art early, and
he's the one that stands out. Yeah, he's the one that stands out. But no, I think that's most of the new characters, right? Yeah, that's most of the new characters.
Yeah, that was most of them.
Was that all of them? Might be all of them. I don't know.
Tokiko.
All I'm saying is because Tokiko. Oh yeah, fuck her. She fuck off. Jump scare.
Forced by Laura Post of all people. That like shocked me to find out.
God, that shit scared the crap out of me, bro. Oh, I forgot about Ryuki as well. Ryuki and Tama. That helps. They're main characters. That helps. Anyway, all I'm gonna say is Yoshi's Crafted World is a fucking L, bro. Like that's all I have to say. Yoshi's Crafted World, more like Yoshi's Crafty L. Am I right, gamers? Lamau. Bad game. Play Wally World. It's a W for a reason.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming to my Yoshi TED Talk. I also just want you to know I'm not even that passionate about Yoshi. That's how desperate I was to find about video games. I was like,
yeah.
So do you have anything left on your list, or?
I've got stuff.
He's got stuff.
I love stuff.
Yeah. Whether it's good or not, we'll find out.
Free and competent.
Anyway,
so No More Heroes 3 is like the I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed of video games.
This is I just say this is the Chaotic Ethers I Told You So award, because I don't know how many times I said that game looks mid before it came out, but when it came out and it was mid, I was like, finally something in this world makes sense. It's like the amount of times that I've been wrong on video games. At least No More Heroes 3 was mid.
Yeah, so like it's real annoying because between 1 and 2, with the way that 2 structured the missions and stuff, where you could actually just fight the bosses and do their levels, at whatever pace you wanted to, and I think 1's actual combat felt better. Between both of those, if 3 could have just been a cool marriage of that, it would have been fine. I would have liked it a lot. And it was not that. It brought back the structure of the first game, took out the boss levels. All you got were the boss fights. And like to their defense, the combat is the best it had felt. The problem was just there was nothing substantial to do with that combat at all.
It's too much. From my perspective, having only played No More Heroes 2, there was just too much filler shit in between boss missions to where I don't think I made it past the third boss in this game before I'm like, I'm done. I'm tapping out. I'm not doing this anymore.
I beat the game.
I didn't. And I can't be bothered. And I probably won't.
That's fair, to be honest. Because, like, yeah, the bosses are... again, like, to their credit, the bosses, when you actually get to fight them, are really cool. The problem is it's, like, maybe an hour and a half total of boss fights in a game that is padded to all bejesus.
Yep.
Oh dear.
Because, like, I don't remember what my hour count was, but it was way too high for, like I just said, the boss fights being the only substantial thing you can actually do and totaling like an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I'm sick of the current industry trend of really long games. It's like, to be fair, what I'm sick of is there's only 2 categories of video games now, especially I feel like in the past couple of years. It's either long ass fucking game that's too longer than it should be, or really short. I'm like, do you know what? I miss the good 10-hour video game. You know what I mean? Where it was like, yeah, we've got a main
Yeah, I
story
get you.
here. It lasts like a week, and you're like, I'm good. Like, you know,
Yeah,
like
good
Assassin's
stuff.
Creed 2 or something like that, where it's like 10 to 15
Yeah.
hours. I'm done. Thank you for your time. I miss those kinds of games because all we get now is like indie stuff. Like I played Coffee Talk today, which took like 3 hours, which I liked. But also, I
Yeah,
go
I
into
like
those
Coffee
games
Talk.
just knowing I'm going to play this in one sitting. Or the other kind of game is where I'm like, I'm going to be here for weeks. And it's like, I miss the middle ground where it's just like, you know, solid 8 to 10 hours. You know?
Yeah, I get you.
Mm.
But
I miss
yeah,
those kinds of
like,
games, man. We don't get them
That's what I
enough
loved
anymore.
about No More Heroes too. Like you could just go from level to level, bust through that in an afternoon. They'll
Yeah.
be done in 5 hours. Like, and get
yeah,
a
and
good
even
story
though
along the way.
the first game had like the open sandbox filler stuff, but it also went by quicker than it did in 3.
Mm.
hmm
Like that game is about the same length as 2, and it's not like you still spend most of your time still fighting bosses and doing the levels leading up to them. You're not spending half the game in the stupid side jobs,
Yeah,
stabbing
Yeah.
scorpions or whatever. But
No.
it
mowing
Yeah.
the lawn.
yeah, No More Heroes 3 just
Paying your
didn't do
taxes.
it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Kyle,
Okay.
I can promise you now, you're not going to pick anything on my list now, so don't worry about it. We're definitely not going down the
Yeah.
same street.
So today, in preparation for this episode, I wanted to do some homework. So to make sure that what I was saying is entirely true, today I've downloaded a mobile game on my cellular phone device
Did you
called
download the
Octopath.
Octopath game?
It's called Octopath Traveler: Champions of the Continent. And let me tell you, this game hurt my soul.
This is literally the biggest fucking cop out in HGO history. This is
What?
the internet's mad. The internet told me this game is bad, so I'm gonna download it and play it for literally 60 seconds so I can talk about this on the podcast. Bro.
Dude, I put in an hour
Fair play.
before I finally said I can't play this game anymore.
Fair play.
As one of the 10 Octopath fans in the world, it hurt my soul.
There's 8 actually. But yeah, we
It
gotta
is
play.
in the name.
It's in the name.
Oh, damn.
But anyway, you carry on.
I'm a fake fan.
Yeah, you are. Fake fan.
Anyways, so Square Enix had this wonderful JRPG in the year 2018 called Octopath Traveler, a love letter to classic JRPGs from the SNES.
Never heard of it.
Love it. Great video game. Please
Never been
check it out
mentioned
if you
before.
haven't. It's available on Game Pass and Steam and
Is it
Switch.
still available on Game Pass?
I think so.
Who knows?
At least on Xbox. It might not be on Game Pass. I don't know. I don't own an Xbox.
I do.
It'd be
I don't
funny
know.
if being gone from Game Pass just removed it from Xbox's availability.
Like
you can't buy it. It has to be
games
on
go out of
Game
Game
Pass.
Pass. Like I think it's like usually
Yeah,
they're on there
Hades
for a
just
year.
left.
They're on there for a year usually. Yeah, Final Fantasy 13's leaving this month.
Oh no.
Buy Lightning.
I better get on that.
Only Lightning Part 2 and 3. No, that game's so long. That's like I'm talking about 30 hours. I'm like, no. God. I do want to play it, but not for no, I don't want to play a 30. I played enough JRPGs this year. I don't need another one. God,
You want to play 13 of all Final Fantasy games?
Yeah, because I feel like
interesting shout.
Because I feel like people are overreaction Andes, and I just want to play it and go, it's not that bad, guys. You're just you're just mad.
Well, yeah, they were being a little dramatic.
I don't think
one.
it's as bad as people make it. I'm like, there's no way it can be as bad as people make it out to be. Like, surely.
Yeah.
But I'll never find out because it's leaving Game Pass at the end of the month. I don't have time.
Buy Monkey.
I guess I could always buy it, but, you know, paying for games on Xbox, cringe. No.
Oh, I'm sure they'll give it back to you in the PS3 streaming in a couple of months.
Yeah.
Anyway, Kyle, you were saying about Octopath Mobile.
Square Enix took a thing I liked and turned it into a gacha mobile game.
Epic.
Because of course they did.
Yeah, but you like gacha. You play Genshin.
I like good gacha.
there.
Gacha
I like the good gacha that has
there is no
quote
good gacha
reason to exist.
That's
I'll give you that. But at least
That's like me
At
going,
least Genshin feels like it has a point.
I like good gambling. None of that slot shit.
Gotcha. That Xenoblade 2 system that people who were intelligent should have skipped over.
Oh god. Anyway, so it's a gacha game.
Yeah, and honestly, it just felt so lifeless as a video game, where it just felt like I wasn't like it felt like there was just no point to the game needing to exist besides Square Enix wanting money.
Well, wouldn't you know? That's why it exists.
Yeah.
I'd struggle to even call this a sequel. Is the problem here?
Yeah,
Is,
I
like,
think.
Yeah,
it's more of a spin-off.
I just took this because when am I ever going to get another chance to talk about something like this?
I don't know.
You know,
Worst mobile games. We all play
oh
so
yeah,
many
because you guys play
games.
mobile games. Because we all play mobile games.
Yeah,
Dude, my
I played
phone loses
Pokemon
half
Go
of its
for a few
charge. Yeah.
months.
My
Yeah,
phone loses
and
half of
that's
its
it.
charge locked in 3 hours. Why would I play video games on it? I need a new phone.
Yeah, I'd sooner play a video game on my computer.
My phone's like
Same.
5
Never
years
do that.
old, bro. But no, fair enough.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's like,
do you have anything else?
Before I'm done with this, I just want to share like the part that made me give up on the game
Okay.
entirely. So I pulled this character, some 3-star hunter named Sunny,
Hey,
and her character description is this, and I quote: "Hunter and third sister of a set of octuplets. A notorious crybaby, she is constantly weeping from either joy or sadness." And it was at that point I just said, "Fuck this," and uninstalled app after an
Nice.
hour.
I don't see the problem, dude. As an emotional person myself, I do not see the problem. As an octuplet myself, how can you fit eight children at once, bro?
Octuplet. I feel really just because the game's named Octopath.
Yeah,
I had to do
That's
that.
the other thing. You
Are
build
the-
8-party teams, so you have to manage 8 characters at once, and it's like, what? Why? This is too much. This is too much micromanaging for a mobile game.
Nah, fair
Mobile
enough.
games are like micromanaging task.
Fair enough. Right, guys. It's time for me
It's
to
time
be
for
truly
stuff.
honest. Okay, I've been quiet about this for too long. I've been faking an opinion for too long.
Oh no.
Xenoblade 2 is the worst video game. The
Gonna say he
waifu
really does hate
bait
Persona
simp
5.
simulator is no. Kidding. No. I guess I'll go with this one, right? Rise of the Tomb Raider. I'm not even going with Shadow. I think Shadow's the worst game, but Rise of the Tomb Raider is like so mid, it's unreal. Like people are just like, people always talk about how much they like this game, and I'm like, why? Because this is like the original Tomb Raider 2013, not the 1997, 6, whatever the fuck that one was.
Yeah,
Not that one. The reboot. The original one was interesting because it was going for that kind of Uncharted kind of formula, but it kind of went in its own really like gory kind of survivalist kind of own tone where you were stuck on this creepy
It was
as
also way
fuck.
less agonizing to actually play.
Yeah,
Like,
it was like
Tomb Raider reboot eats Uncharted's lunch as far as the actual gameplay department goes.
Yeah. It was a really fun kind of Uncharted-like game where you were stuck on a creepy island with gory cinematics and survival elements where it genuinely felt kind of like creepy and interesting to play. I really liked it as a reboot.
Laura
it was
could
interesting.
violently die at every corner.
Yeah. Rise of the Tomb Raider is just, why don't we take every little bit of unique identity that we made from this reboot and just make Uncharted? Rise of the Tomb Raider is just Uncharted 2. It is the second Tomb Raider, but it's also Uncharted 2 because they go into the snowy mountains and they find a hidden civilization and then they destroy the civilization. And that is Uncharted 2 in a nutshell. They literally copied and pasted the fucking game that they were copying, and they took all of the gore and the creepiness out of it entirely. And it's just like this generic action
I think they got
adventure
some
game.
blowback for the gore when it came out, when the first one came out, was part of why they did that. Like, people are like, "Why are you murdering her so violently all the time? It's uncomfortable." And
And to be
like,
fair, some of them
even
are
people
really
looking back
uncomfortable. Yeah.
have looked at it, and I'm like, eh. But that's how I am.
Some of them are really fucking gruesome, but at the same
My
time,
problem with that, like in retrospect with the original game, was I feel like they tried to substitute like genuine character development by just making her be abused the whole game.
yeah. And it's just
But
my problem with the Tomb Raider trilogy, the reboot, is in the first game, it is very much a early 20s like university student essentially who gets too much like her father, gets chucked on an island and has to learn to survive, and is very much not adept to the
not
situation at
ready
the
for it.
start, and has to learn to survive, and becomes the Lara Croft that we know at the end of the first Tomb Raider game. The only problem is then they have two other Tomb Raider games where she gets stuck in a situation and acts helpless and all of this shit. She goes through the same fucking character arc another two
no.
times in another two different games. To the point
And it's
where
less effective because it's less violence.
I stopped playing Shadow of the Tomb Raider because I'm like, how the fuck are we still doing this of the I'm not ready? And it's like, the Shadow Tomb Raider, they were like, this is the point where Lara becomes the Tomb Raider we all know and love. And I'm like, I thought we did this 5 years ago in the first Tomb Raider reboot. Because because the first Tomb Raider reboot, it's like, sorry, I hit the mic. It's like, it's pretty like hardcore in terms of they don't fucking pull their punches. Nearly the entire cast of that game dies. Only 3 people, if I remember correctly, survived that video game. Out of
most
like the
people
13
died.
characters, most people died. And then the following games after that, they brought back only one of those people called Jonah. And Jonah literally survives literally everything that comes after him in the following 2. Very like he's on the brink of death like 6 times during this franchise. And he survives all of it, and so does everybody else. And the only people that die are the token people you know are gonna die. Like, hey, there's the guy that's lived for 6 bajillion years because he's found the Fountain of Youth. I wonder what that sounds like. Oh, it sounds like Uncharted with the fucking Tree of Life. I wonder where they got that idea from. Oh wait, it's the same fucking game. It's the same fucking game. They even have the person that doesn't age. Like, fuck that. Fuck the Rise of the Tomb Raider. Shadow of the
It's
Tomb Raider.
hilarious too, because
Worst
they're
game.
like, they took the wind out of this sequel's sails even because
Yeah.
of the whole Xbox exclusivity on. Excuse
Yeah,
me.
they
the
paid
Xbox
for it
One.
because they were scared of Uncharted, so they paid for it.
Yeah, it was weird too because I don't know why Square, as Tomb Raider's lineage was on PlayStation, and by the time that the exclusivity was up with Xbox, I feel like a lot of people, like for me for example, by the time it was not exclusive anymore and came to PlayStation, I was like, yeah.
It did, and
I
here's
don't
the
care. I don't need
irony.
it.
It was the 20th anniversary of Tomb Raider, so to celebrate, they released Rise of the Tomb Raider, the 20th anniversary edition, and it was literally the game, the launch game. This is the only edition that came out for PS4 with all the DLC included for free. So not only did it come out a year later, people on PlayStation also got all of the DLC for free that the Xbox people had to buy a season pass for. So it was like a big fuck you altogether to everybody involved. And it's just
to
like
everyone.
like, yeah, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Is Shadow of the Tomb Raider the worst of the trilogy? Yes. But Rise of the Tomb Raider was one that was disappointing to me because it turned it into a generic Uncharted fest. And it's just
Yeah,
like.
because you would have just expected the next one to be bad after 2 was disappointing.
And at least Uncharted had the characters. You know, we had Lara, which I like Lara's portrayal in the reboot. But every other character in that series, I don't remember it. Like, other than Jonah,
It just
knowing
felt
Jonah.
like fodder, really.
There's no one. Yeah, and to be fair, it makes sense in the first game because most of them die.
Yeah,
but
most of them die.
the recurring characters in 2 and 3 don't feel like, hey, look, there's a friend. You don't see them in the same way that you see Eleanor, Sully, Chloe, any of them. When Chloe comes back, you're like, oh, hey, it's Chloe. Or, when Sully's back, you're like, hey. But like when Jonah
It's
comes
more like
back,
a
you're like, who
Varl
the fuck
showing
are
up
you
in a
again?
Horizon situation.
Yeah, you're like, oh yeah, you
They're like,
exist.
who?
Well done for existing. Good job. Nah, disappointing game. Fuck Tomb Raider 2. fuck Tomb Raider 3 as well. Can you make a good one again? When you come back to Tomb Raider, can you make a good one again? Crystal Dynamics, now you're over with Embracer. Or was it Embracer that bought them?
Yeah, it's Embracer that bought them. So
Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, what number was that? Was that number 3 or 4 of this round table?
I think it's 3.
I think that was round 4.
That was round 4. That was round 4. Right. Shall we do one more round? And then if you have an
Alrighty.
extra one that you can talk about Hunter at the end, because trust me, my final one, I'm grasping at fucking straws. Here, so.
Alrighty.
Go on then.
I guess next I'll go with Final Fantasy X-2. This game used to draw
Ooh.
my ire a bit more, but then it got replaced. But that's besides the point. Final Fantasy X isn't really a world that sets itself up to be conducive to having a good sequel. Like, the motivation for this sequel is the spoilers for the end of Final Fantasy X, the game that came out in 2001. Titus disappears at the end of 10, and the motivation for the sequel is getting him back. And that is for me someone who didn't even hate Titus as much as most of the people who played Final Fantasy X, a hard sell. Because like I'm like, I don't care about that. He was okay, but I'm not heartbroken. Yuna as a character, all the drama that was around her in the first game is missing in this one. She's just kind of palling around with Riku and the new character Pain, who's she like replaces the goth kind of character that Lulu was, because Lulu's too old to be doing this nonsense, I guess. And so the motivation for the story isn't very good. They have a whole bunch of side stories going on because it's like this chapter system. There's 5 chapters, and you can visit you can visit the whole map of the first game anytime you feel like it. And it's novel at first because it's kind of cool to go back and see what happened afterwards, revisiting the world that you saved. But it gets old when all of these side stories just kind of spin their wheels for 4 chapters, and then finally something happens in the last one. Because that's basically what happens the whole time. In Kimari's little sub-story at Gagazet, for example, he's dealing with these younger Ronso who are angry that the Guado tribe, that's the people that Seymour, the guy with the crazy blue hair, came from, that those guys basically nearly extinguished the Ronso in the first game, and the younger Ronso are angry with them and want to go take revenge. And for a solid 4 chapters, Kimari is just being like, no, don't do that, until in chapter 5, the leader of those guys tries to finally enact that, and Kimari punches him in the face and tells him to get in line. Essentially, was how that panned out. So a whole lot of nothing for most of it. And that's the way that most of those sub stories go, is like, or there's some that, again, the first game doesn't really set up to be done very well. Like, they try to do this thing with Waka where he's having trouble like letting go of the old traditions of their religion that turned out to be a sham. But Waka kind of sucked in the first game anyway, so I didn't sympathize with him, because he was like, he was an overzealous, over religious racist, and he didn't struggle with that him being like one of the most devout of the party in the first game. He really should have taken the fact that the religion of the world was a sham a little harder in the first game, but he didn't. It was just kind of grumbly, oh man, I can't believe we're about to fight this priest, and then, oh man, I can't believe we're about to fight Lady Unaleska. And those 2 lines are like 20 hours apart, and it's done with about the same amount of intensity. So his little side story doesn't make a whole lot of sense because of the way that the portrayal shot itself in the foot in the first game. As far as the gameplay goes, like the combat, what they tried to do was sort of neat. They did this thing where you could like swap classes on the fly with your 3 characters and set it up to be like, where the problem with that was that I don't feel like the progression was very good, because I felt like after you leveled those classes up like twice, you had everything that you would really ever need, aside from like the mages with their extra cure spells and black magic and whatnot. Um, uh, they do have one thing on the first game. In a cutscene that lasts maybe 5 minutes, they upstage the romantic arc in the first game with a new one. It's hilarious. The 1,000 words scene is genuinely really good, and it's got a great song to go with it. But
1,000 words is really great.
yeah, and they
That's the extent
established
of my knowledge on this video game.
that's all you need. That's the only thing
Hell
that I'd
yeah.
say go out of your way to do, because the relationship that they establish in that cutscene between the two characters is stronger than Yuna and Titus ever hoped to be, with potentially 100 hours of an RPG to go with it. Yeah,
Fair
that's
enough.
about all I got on Final Fantasy X-2.
Fair enough. Kyle?
All right. So Ethan, earlier you were talking about short video games,
Was I?
and I recently finished a short little video game called Paper Mario and the Thousand-Year Door on the Nintendo GameCube. It was a nice 20-hour romp.
Yeah.
You know, first time ever playing it, and I gotta say, I understand why people rate that game so highly. Absolutely fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And this makes me sad because Paper Mario Sticker Star exists to completely shit on the franchise.
Ah, good. Just what you want.
Yeah, dude, I love seeing the things I like get shat on by developers that don't care.
Okay. But what's the real problem
stuff.
with it?
The real
Yeah.
problem is that as a video game, it's just not good. It's a turn-based RPG without any kind of level up system. So doing battles is arbitrary. All you get from it is coins, which come everywhere. And your combat is done with a little sticker book you've got, which don't replenish after you finish a fight. So battles are just a net loss. And unlike, Paper Mario 1, 2, and 3, which had unique worlds, interesting, unique and interesting worlds to explore, Sticker Star just chooses to follow what the new Super Mario Bros. Games did of go grassland, desert, jungle, snow world, water world, Bowser world,
Nice.
and just call it done there. It's just like, it just makes me sad to see what happened to Paper Mario. Because, I mean, say what you will about what Super Paper Mario did, it was at least still unique in that, yeah, they got rid of the turn-based combat and turned it to more of a platformer game, but it still told a fantastic story to go with
Yeah, I was
it.
going to say, everything I've observed about that one, the writing was still really good.
Yeah, the writing was still always perfect. A wonderful story was being told alongside it. In Thousand Year Door, the main hub of the game that you go back to is this criminal town called Rogueport, which is run by the Pianta mob, which is just
It's
incredible as an aesthetic.
Nice.
And in Super Paper Mario, so obviously, Mario doesn't talk. He's a silent protagonist by nature. That's just how he is in these kinds of games. He has a little mouthpiece Paimon character to talk for him.
Mm-hmm.
So the antagonist of Sticker Star is Bowser, because we're going back to basics, because we're not allowed to have good things in Paper Mario anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They made Bowser silent.
Oh, nice.
He does not say any words through this entire game. So you have a silent protagonist with a talking mouthpiece and a silent antagonist. Just like Bowser throughout the RPGs, whether it was SMRPG, Paper Mario,
It's like one of the best parts.
Or the Mario and Luigi games, he was consistently one of the best parts. Just how he was written. In Thousand Year Door, he's just a fucking joke character for the entire game. He's the punchline to everything. But then they just got rid of it and just said, here's a bland old villain. You all know what Bowser's about. He's not allowed to have anything unique or cool about him.
Yeah. The
It's
worst
just
part is like they never course corrected after that. Really, it seems because like
no.
I've heard that people thought that Color Splash was a little better, but also not
But it was
great.
still following the same dumb formula of
And then
ba
like
battles having no point.
yeah, and Origami King seemed to follow the same thing where it's like, what's the point of doing that? And like the best Paper Mario game to have come out in the past several years at this point was Bug Fables.
Yeah, I still need to play that at some point.
It's
On
really
Game
good. You should.
Pass. Yeah.
Like, speaking of Origami King, like, I don't like that game as, like, how they showed it, where that game did away with it. Also, it still doesn't have the partner system from the old games, but in the trailer, they showed a little bomb companion following Mario to kind of, like, trick people to thinking it was like the older games. I'm just like, that's dirty. That's dirty, Nintendo.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm,
Hey, there you go.
yeah.
I don't have much to say about my final one, to be honest. Watch Dogs Legion's terrible. There you go. How about that? You done? Yeah, we good. We good. Speaking of
Sounds good,
taking all
man.
the personality out of it, they just took all the personality out of Watch Dogs 2. Gave you a character where the concept of you creating your own character essentially and having people join your legion is an interesting kind of idea, but it also doesn't work because you don't have a central protagonist and the protagonist is random. And so they do the thing that most of these kind of games do, like when you have a customizable character. So there's like every line can be said by like 50 different people, and none of the voice acting is very good because they just had to do a lot of it instead of really focusing on the quality. Um, it's just not good. I just don't like Watch Dogs Legion. They also decided, oh, do you know what? What'll get them? We'll just keep saying CTOS because that's the thing that we say in Watch Dogs games because that's the operating system that runs all these cities. So we'll just say that a lot. And then what we'll also do is we'll bring back Aiden Pierce for the DLC because that's what we do now is we just go, look,
They brought back the
nostalgia.
protagonist that no one liked.
Yeah. And they went, look, nostalgia. And I was like, no, I don't want
People
that.
aren't nostalgic for the first Watch
Marcus
Dogs.
No
also,
nostalgia.
Marcus
Or
also
if they
came
are,
back. They
they
brought
need
both of them back.
therapy.
They brought both of them
Oh.
back. But by both of them, I mean Aiden Pierce was playable. Then they brought back Wrench from Watch Dogs 2 and Marcus. There was some phone calls with Marcus. So they are both in the game, but also who cares? Like I would
Yeah.
have rather have had it. I would rather have played as fucking Aiden Pierce again than have what we had, which was have no protagonist really.
Their whole gimmick is a weird thing. Like, no central character. Anyone can be whatever.
Yeah.
Like they just wanted to have like it. It's like they couldn't be bothered to make a create your player system
Yeah.
at the beginning.
Basically.
Like, really, that's all that you should have just done that, and then have like a central character and write things for, and have like recruitable people. That,
I get
hey,
what they were doing because they were like, hey, look, all these different people have their own skill sets, their own pros, their own cons, and it's like I get it. It's an interesting concept, but also once you find someone you're good with, you're never going to swap off of them. And two, you also could have just done it in a different way. For example, I don't know, maybe have when you go out into the world, you find those people, you recruit them into DedSec, and then you have the ability to hack into CTOS and take over their personality, and you gain all their abilities and their job and who you are from hacking the system and basically becoming that person metaphorically. Instead of having a load of dumb fuckers that no one matters and just having like a permadeath mode for the sake of it. It just wasn't fun. Also, the story's ass. It does the classic cliche of having the bad guy be a plot twist, the person you've been working for the entire time. And it's like, oh, great, we're doing that. I love that plot twist where the person that you've been working for, who for some reason has
a
not been...
betrayal that doesn't mean anything because the characters are random.
Also, yeah, that person isn't random, but also that person is also never actually in location. Yeah. They're always on a TV screen giving you the information, and they're always like, "I'm not available at the moment. I'm outside of this. Yeah, I'm outside of the city." And then it turns out they were the person that caused the bombings in the first place all these years ago, and put dead second the place they are, and it's like, oh, I'm really fucking shocked. What a great video game. Thank you, Watch Dogs Legion. You also broke my fucking DualSense, you prick. Fuck you. That's the game that broke my trigger. Anyway, that game's just awful. Don't play it. Just don't. Don't play it. It's bad. Hope Watch Dogs dies. Never comes back. Awful game. Ubisoft just does not know how to make threes at all.
No.
Okay, Hunter, did you say you had one more quickly that you wanted
Yeah, I
to
can do one
truck
more.
out?
Soul Calibur 5 was a bit of a mess. It's very funny in a way when you look at 5 and 6, because 5 tried to like soft reboot the series.
Mhm.
They took out a bunch of fan favorites, like there was no Keelik or Xianghua, or I think they might have even Sophia has a kid that's in the story. I don't remember if she was actually in the game herself though. So a bunch of people were mad because the only mainstay characters that I can remember actually being in this game were Nightmare and Raphael. And then you're left with a bunch of like new designed people who are just kind of lame, to be honest, because they still keep like the same kind of weapons and such as the old characters, but now they're just a new coat of paint and don't feel as like you're not attached to them. There's a story mode in this game where it stars Patroklos, who is Sophia's kid, and he absolutely sucks. Like he's just whiny and stupid. Like he's voiced by Yuri Lowenthal, and I'm pretty sure Yuri
Classic.
Lowenthal's he's probably had to play this character a few times, and
Poor Yuri.
yeah, and like it just doesn't work at all. Like there was no new character that was cool at all. Like there was a guy who had like one of those persona, basically. Like he'd attack and then like a little specter thing would come with him sometimes, but it didn't. That was like the only dude who's even kind of memorable. There was a staff fighty guy who was a monkey. I think people liked him a little bit, but that's like 2 people out of a roster of over 20, and yeah, none of it was good. The story mode was lame. Like, why do I care what all of these people are doing? You didn't make it was also like the linear story mode. It wasn't the thing that 2 or 6 did, where it kind of gave you this other. It kind of gave you a lore outside of what you were doing or what the actual like Soul Calibur story is, and just intermixes it with the characters. It did this linear story that was supposed to like come on years after the fact, and it just didn't work. It was so bad that like the soft reboot led into 6 being like an actual reboot of the series, where they just went back to in the timeline to where I think Soul Calibur 1 would have been. So and that panned out much better, honestly. Like it's really
6
fun.
was great.
Yeah, 6 was great. Like from a lore standpoint, it was really cool as well. Like just getting to re-experience all that stuff, seeing what some characters that showed up after the first Soul Calibur were up to at that point in the story. It was neat. So, but 5 itself just wasn't very great. It also didn't add anything as far as like the gameplay went, or yeah, there was just nothing good. I think their gimmicky super moves were a little bit too easy to pull off, and it made fighting kind of lame. Because in 6, it was still easy to pull off, but it was a little nerfed. So it just kind of hit a little harder instead of being something that would win you the fight as soon as you could get it off. I think that's more what it was in 5. And it was basically just pushed like, it was like doing the X-rays in Mortal Kombat, where you just push 2 of the shoulder buttons together.
Fair enough. Sorry, I have nothing to add because it's like, you know what? You know me in fighting games, Hunter. They just don't mix. They just don't.
It's okay, dude. My Soul Calibur experience started and ended at 6. So
yeah.
Well, at least it wasn't 5. Apparently, at least it wasn't.
Yeah, 5 wasn't good, man. So
could have been worse. But there you have it. I guess that is our list of some of our least favorite video game sequels. Sorry that I apparently I like video games too much, apparently. My list was just like, I was dragging the bottom of the barrel. But you guys came up with some good ones, at least. But yeah. I don't know. What do you guys think? Have we missed any out? Probably. Let us know in the comments, because I'm sure that someone's sitting there going, oh, they forgot insert game here. that we've not played.
Someone's out there, but yeah, like I can't believe they didn't bring up The Last of Us.
Where's Last of Us Part 2? You should check out the best game sequels to truly trigger yourself. But no. Anyway, that's all I've got. Hey, it's 3:15. My brain is like mush, dude. I've had like 3 cans of Coke today. My brain's like fucking dribbling out my ears at this point. It's had enough.
That's why it's only got one earphone and it needs the outlet for the other one.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Just my will to live escapes out of this ear. Yeah. Exactly. No, it's been fun. But as always, our links are on screen right now. You can go and follow us on Twitter if you want to keep up to date with everything that we've been doing outside the podcast. I've been having a terrible time playing Crash 2, so there's that. You can come hang out with me.
I got blocked by Jason Schreier.
Yeah, you did.
By Jason Schreier.
Yeah, but he did it on purpose. He posted a fucking meme. He literally took Jason Schreier's mugshot and then put what did you say? What did you put on it?
It was something someone else posted. I just reposted it. It's unfortunately, skill issue is what it said.
Yeah, it said unfortunately. But just
Jason Schreier's mugshot.
Jason Schreier made a joke, a quote-unquote joke about how Xenoblade 3 bosses take forever, and it was something along the lines of, my kid was born, and when I started fighting this boss, they'll be in college by the time it's over, or something along those lines. And so a load of Xenoblade fans just started saying, unfortunately, skill issue, and then started getting banned one joke because Schreier made a joke but couldn't take a joke back.
You can't take a joke. Yeah, to be fair, that doesn't sound like something that was said seriously.
No.
To be fair,
it was funny.
It was. Yeah.
But you know what Schreier's like? Schreier he just can't take a joke.
Fragile.
So it's just like. It was just a joke. You think they were being serious? Because then he tweeted can't believe all these anime profile pictures are telling me that it's a skill issue. I'm like, that's also the joke. That was also a joke. God. Anyway. But if you don't want to get blocked by Jason Schreier like Kyle,
or if you do want to get blocked by Jason Schreier,
if you want to if you want to say to somebody, unfortunately, skill issue, you can go and follow us on Twitter at HotGamersOnly. We'll never block you. Or subscribe to the YouTube channel at youtube.com/HotGamersOnly. And hey, if you don't want to look at our stupid faces, that's cool too. Head to the link tree in the description or search for Hot Gamers Only in your favorite podcasts like Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And with that has been our show this week. Thank you ever so much for listening / watching. Next week, Splatoon 3 finally releases, and then we sit and we wait until the catastrophe of October emerges. So it'll be a fun one.
We're the Splatoon cast for a month.
Is Splatoon the only thing we have out this month?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's just Splatoon for the most part. We have another episode planned. We have 2 episodes this month planned. So we have this one planned. We have next week's planned because it's Splatoon. Then not the 19th, but the week after we've got something planned, which I won't say now just in case it gets pushed back. So there's only 1 week. We only have 1 week of filler that we do need to fill in. Because we've already done one today.
It's a good thing I've got an extra week to think on it.
Oh yeah, Hunter, and it better be a good one. If it doesn't perform, you're dead. I'm expecting a high performer.
Unfortunately, skill issue.
No. No, unacceptable. Anyway, that's it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back same time, same place next week for more. But until then, have an awesome week, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
See ya.
Toodaloo.